Sometimes life is messy. Have you ever wished you could refocus your mind, home, relationships, and work life? Join us as we use research-based information to make practical changes and simplify life. This is Life Simplified.
Welcome to Life Simplified. This is Tiffany, and I'm going to be your host all month long because it is May, and that means it is Mental Health Awareness Month. So we are going to talk all things mental health all month long, and just so you know, everything that we're doing, we're talking about all of the toolkit that's coming from the Mental Health Awareness Month from Mental Health America. So everything that we talk about, all of the things I read to you, all the resources are right there for you. All you have to do is go to mentalhealthamerica.org and you can access all of the tools, all the worksheets, all the articles. We're just going to discuss them together this month. And so for the first episode of the month, I want to focus on DIY mental health. And I think we've all heard DIY. It's a big hot topic. People DIY their houses and their yards and all the things. But we want to talk about how can I improve my mental health on my own? Now, I definitely want to put the caveat in there that I am in no way suggesting that things like doctor's appointments and therapists and groups and other things and resources, medications, those are all super important. And so if you have a diagnosis or you have a concern, I don't want you to think I can just handle this on my own. But there are some things we can do every day that can help improve our mental health. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. What are the things that I can do maybe in addition to, or maybe in a preventative way to help my own mental health? So we're talking about an article that is from Mental Health America, and the title is How Can I Improve My Mental Health on My Own? So we're just going to dig in a little bit. So the first thing that they point out is you got to learn all you can about mental health. I mean, I don't know for you all, but that when I want to dig into anything, research, learning, education is where we start. And so Mental Health America is a good start for that, but there are so many resources at your disposal. And so I want you to really think about, how can I dig in? Where can I go to find good, solid, research-based information? And so those are going to be your EDU sites for sure. So Extension is going to be one of those resources, but then also the organizations that like Mental Health America and other, the National Institute of Mental Health. There's just so many, but I do encourage you to make sure you're getting legitimate resources, not just TikToks or YouTube videos or somebody else's opinion on their Facebook page. We want to get real solid research-based information, but definitely learn everything you can. And a good place to start is if you've been diagnosed with a mental health condition, look up information on that specific condition. Dig in, get some information, because you're going to find coping skills and strategies and maybe some things you can look for that can help you to better manage the symptoms that you're experiencing. You want to do that, or you can start by taking a mental health test. So like Mental Health America has an online test where you can answer some questions and they can give you some insights into what's going on with you if you feel like you might have something going on or a loved one. But the key is education. I think education is power. And so you want to do that. Now, once we learn about mental health, then one of the things we really have to learn about is ourself. So I don't know, like for you all, if I don't know me, how do I know anybody else, right? So what are some things that you all do, like, to be in tune with yourself? And we've got some examples and some things we'll talk about, but like, is there anything specifically that you feel like helps you know you and get you in the mind frame for yourself?
I mean, I'm a big fan of all the different personality tests, Myers-Briggs, the DISC, and just there's a variety of different personality tests out there. And I think those can be really useful if you're interested in that sort of thing. And I feel like over the years, just the way that I interact with people and learning more about mental health helps me know myself a little bit better. But I have recently, again, taken those 2 personality tests that I mentioned. I'm in a leadership group, and for one of our sessions, we had a discussion about these, and we had someone come in and really break them down. And that was so beneficial to me. Even though I had an idea what my results were going to be, I knew that I was going to be introverted. I know that about myself, but the way that she explained it to us, because for my job, I act as an extrovert. That's what I do. I talk to people all day long. And so knowing that I need that time to decompress alone is really helpful for me. And so the way that she explained that is, yeah, you like being around people. It's not that you don't like people, because I enjoy my job. And when I do a whole lot of those things, like I'm gone all week for program after program after program, or I'm speaking at all of these different things, and I'm not taking that time to spend alone, it takes a toll on my mental health. And while I knew that, it does help sometimes to just go back and have a fresh set of eyes talk to you about that.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And there are so many of those type of personality tests or leadership tests that can kind of give you an idea of your personality and how you tend to lean. And they can be fun, but they can also be really insightful. And so it can kind of give you a picture into who you are and how you interact with other people and the way you build relationships, how you lead others. And it all matters. And I will say, if you take them, take it with a grain of salt, because some things will fit and some things won't fit, but it does help you to get a little better picture of who you are and how you tend to lean. And it's not going to be all the time, because nothing is all the time, but you can kind of see what your habits are and your leanings and where you might go. So I think that is a good way to get to know yourself and who you are. So the thing that they say in this article is your mental health is intertwined with your thoughts, feelings, and actions. It's a part of who you are, and it's hard to work on your mental health without learning more about yourself. So we have to dig deep. We have to do the hard work. And I think sometimes this is the scariest part of mental health is like, I don't know if I want to dig in and know all the things about me, because there's parts of us that we're not sure how we feel about them. And so when we have to get really honest with ourselves, we have to take a really good look at ourselves. Sometimes it can be intimidating. It can be a little scary. But there are some really easy things we can do just to start getting a better idea of who we are and where we're at. So one of the things that they suggest is to track your moods. And I think we've all talked about, like, tracking our eating habits, tracking our calories, tracking our food. We track all kinds of different things, but have we thought about tracking our moods? And if not, why not? Sometimes part of it's like, I don't know that I want to pay attention to my mood, because maybe my mood is a sore subject for me and I don't want to see all of the things that I'm feeling. But I think it can be really important to us, and it can really give us some insight into things like patterns and triggers. If I keep up with my moods, both good and bad, and I think when we think about documenting, we're thinking about negative, but no, I want to document all of my moods. When I'm feeling good, when I'm feeling happy, when I'm feeling hopeful, when I'm feeling down or frustrated or angry or agitated, like all of the things matter. And if we do that over a period of time, we can start to see those patterns. Like, are there certain things that are affecting my mood? It could be the weather. Like, today's kind of a cloudy, rainy, drizzly day. And I think for a lot of people, that can equate to some lower mood, to feeling a little bit down, maybe being a little bit more sad than usual. But sometimes we don't have awareness of that. It could be the activities of my day. Is my mood really up and happy when I'm doing an activity or being around people that I really enjoy or I feel connected to? Or am I feeling more anxious or more fearful because of an activity I have to do that I'm not so sure about? Or maybe I don't feel as confident in my ability to complete those tasks. So tracking your moods can really help you get a picture of how your emotions are affected by the things that you're doing every day, the things that you're around, the weather outside, the people in your life, the activities you have to accomplish. And that can help us better prepare. Because if I know a certain thing affects my emotions in a certain way, I can start to think, what are the things I can do to adjust, that I can adapt? So maybe I still feel a little sad when it's rainy and gloomy and I don't have the sunshine, but I can say, okay, what is something I can do inside that lifts my mood so I can change it, so I don't have to get stuck in whatever that mood is. And maybe if I know there's certain people or certain things or certain activities that really lift my mood and I feel more positive and I feel more hopeful and more fulfilled, I can try to bring those things into my life a little bit more. So I think that's a fairly easy thing we can do, but maybe one of those things that we're like, oh, how do I add it into my day? But I don't know. Do you all feel like that's something that you could add into your day? Do you feel like it's something that would be reasonable to do?
I think it'd be probably easier to do now than it used to be because you can use your phone.
Yeah.
And either it's notes or there may be an app that maybe for that, I don't know, but just something to look at. You know, if whenever you recognize you're feeling a certain way, you could just type it in to whatever you have. I mean, you could write it down, but it'd be easier to just keep track on your phone. So I think it'd be easy to do.
Yeah, I love that idea. Like, technology is with us all day long. So how easy it to go into your notes and be like, okay, like, I'm feeling a little low right now. What's happening around me? Like, what is going on? Or, oh, I had such a great day. Well, what happened today that made it amazing for you? So I think tracking your moods is one way we can learn about ourselves. We can gain some insight. Another suggestion that they have is pay attention to your thinking. And sometimes that can be really hard. But the thing that they say is, we know that our thoughts influence our feelings. So what we're thinking is going to affect how we're feeling. So part of that tracking our moods can be also thinking, well, if I'm feeling low, what are my thoughts today? If I'm feeling good, what are my thoughts today? But also really being on the lookout for negative self-talk and unhelpful beliefs. Because we can be our own worst enemy sometimes. And if we're practicing negative self-talk, we can be doing it without even being aware. Like, it can just be something that happens without us giving it a thought. And so if we can begin to pay more attention to our thought processes, we can start trying to stop those negative thought patterns. And not only stop them, but dispute them. If someone came at us and was saying something pretty awful about us, we're probably going to fight back, right? Like, are any of the three of you, if I said something just horrible to you, are you going to be like, okay,
thank you,
thanks,
have a nice day?
Yeah, probably not. You're going to be like ready to go with a list of the reasons why that is not true about me. Why do we do it to ourselves? We will let ourselves talk trash to ourselves and we don't fight back, but we won't let anybody else. So instead of being our worst critic, we have to start thinking like, okay, that's not true. That is absolutely unfounded, untrue. And we do this from like a very young age. We have negative self-talk, and it's without thinking. I think it's all tied into like feelings of embarrassment or not being worthy enough or guilt or shame or any of those kind of ick feelings. A lot of that time we'll have some negative self-talk around it. One example I give people that's really silly, but if you think about it, like one of the most terrifying moments in your life is when you're in school and you're in a cafeteria, right? You're like in the school cafeteria and trying to find the right seat to sit in, trying to just be invisible. And so everybody's afraid they're going to drop their tray, right? Like everybody's had that moment. You've seen it in movies. It's always like everything gets quiet and everybody looks at you. And in that moment, like if that were to truly happen, I think the thought process would be like, oh, I'm so stupid. Why did I do this? Like, I'm so clumsy. Like the negative self-talk is spiraling. But the reality is like, no, I'm a human. And humans make mistakes. We trip, we fall, we have accidents, we mess up. I am not a not intelligent person. I'm not a ridiculous person. I am just a human who had a moment like every other human does. But I think in that, like, just in that easy of an example, like, you can see how quickly we can go to negative self-talk over something that is just so innocent and just living life. But we go to the negative. So try to pay attention to that negative thinking and try to dispute it, because it's absolutely inaccurate. But we have to point that out to ourselves. And then, you know, we're tracking our moods, we're paying attention to our thinking, but identify our coping skills, because we all already have coping skills, whether we're calling them that or not. We have things that we do in our life to help us get through life, because it, you know, it can be heavy, it can be hard, and there's a lot going on. We're carrying a lot on our shoulders. So what are our coping skills? So what it says in their article is we all have different ways of coping with our emotions. That's absolutely true. But we have to figure out, what are we doing, and is it a positive or a negative coping skill? So do you stress eat? Do you drink when you're upset? Do you go for a run? Do you play video games, listen to music, call a friend? Those are all coping skills. Those are all ways that we deal with our emotions and the stressors in our life. And they all have pros and cons. There's good and bad to all of them. So we don't necessarily want to, like, label our coping skill as this is a good skill or this is a bad skill, but we do want to think about, is this a skill that's working for me just in the short term or in the long term? And so if we can err towards the, like, I want to try and have coping skills that help me in the long run as opposed to just in the moment, because sometimes those ones that really help us in the moment could end up being harmful for the long run. And so I think instead of good or bad, just like, what does this do for me? Is this a good thing for me over the next week, month, year of my life? Or is this something that's maybe just making me feel better for the next hour or two? And I think we all have both. We all have a mix of coping skills that do help us in the moment, in the short term, and in the long term. And I think if we can lean on the long term ones a little bit heavier, then probably we're going to benefit better in the long run. That's not to say that your short term ones aren't sometimes what you need to get through the moment, but how can I start leaning towards those long term helps a lot more. So be thinking about those things. Can you all think of, like, what are some of your coping skills? I know we have readers in the group. I think we all read or listen to books. So that's probably a coping skill that all four of us can relate to. Just kind of getting out of our own heads and getting into a different world where we don't have to think about our stressors and those type things. What are some other coping skills that you all can identify that you have for yourself?
Depending on what it is and what kind of time frame I have, if I'm overwhelmed, mainly is when I'm thinking about this one. Like, if I can take like a 20-minute just a break, and I may not be able to actually take a nap, but if I can just kind of, because typically when I'm overwhelmed, I'm not going to be able to get anything done anyway, and then I can take just those 20 minutes, whether I'm listening to music or if I can close my eyes for 20 minutes, that would be awesome. And then I feel a little bit better. I feel like now I can make a list of things that I need to do, because I'm a list maker. I can make this list, and then I can prioritize this list and decide what needs to happen.
So like a timeout.
Yes.
I mean, we all need we put our kids in timeout when they're little, but really we all sometimes just need a timeout. Our emotions are big and we're feeling a lot, and we just need to breathe and be away from all the things. So I think a timeout is absolutely a great way to cope with some of our stressors.
I was thinking a timeout. Mine's just going outside, because I like to be outside. So a little short walk, or just getting some fresh air, some sunshine. And then I'm a coffee drinker. So, just go get a cup of coffee and everything's going to be fine.
Yes. Like all the above. Fresh air, change of scenery.
Yeah.
So like getting outside, getting in nature, getting away from some of the things. I too love my coffee. Like starting my day with the coffee helps me out tremendously. But yeah, I think those are great examples as well. Like just getting out and about, getting in nature, getting away.
Just kind of reset, refocus type things. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Or just spending time with people that you enjoy.
Yes.
You know, because like thinking about if you're been busy and working a lot at nights, like I just want to be home with my family or your kids or friends, like a night out, just a little bit of break.
Yeah, being with your people. Being with people. I think it's when we are with people that we can be ourselves with. Where it's like, I don't feel like I have to fit into any kind of mold. I don't have to be any kind of way. I can just be me and be free. And another one I thought of as you all were talking is I really like laughter. Like for me, I'm like, if I can just be silly or be with people that are silly or laugh about something or watch like a comedian on TV or just something where you can just like, okay, the world is very serious and life feels very serious and it feels very heavy, and just being able to laugh and let loose and just be goofy sometimes can really help to just de-stress all the things. So there you go, listeners. That's some of our coping skills. There are so many more. Like there's a ton of things. And again, it's not good. It's not bad. It's just, how is this working for me in the short term and then in the long term? And then our fourth suggestion from the article, so remember, we're still talking about learning about ourselves. We've talked about tracking our moods, paying attention to our thinking, identifying our coping skills. And then the fourth one is get feedback from people you trust. Love this one. And let me just tell you, so I go to a recovery center once a month and I talk about soft skills. And one of the things we talk about is learning, like expanding, learning, being flexible. But we really talk a lot about feedback. And it's one of my favorite parts. And I like to really be specific about this because they call it constructive feedback. I love that term. I think terms are everything. I think shifting the way we think about things are everything, because you'll hear people say constructive criticism. Dislike that term holistically. Like, just, you can put a pretty word in front of criticism, but it's still criticism. So there's nothing constructive about criticizing someone. So why we ever even made that a thing, I don't know. And I don't love it. So I say, like, throw that out. There's nothing constructive about criticizing people, but there is constructive feedback. And feedback is like, I'm seeing you and I'm noticing these things. And in feedback, I'm noticing some really cool, positive things. Keep that up. Let's do that. And I'm noticing some things that you might, keyword might, want to adjust. And so when I'm talking to these guys about, being able to accept constructive feedback, one of the things I tell them is, make sure it's from somebody that you respect and somebody that you trust. Because sometimes we will get ourselves in the most emotional positions. We will get so hurt, so upset, so twisted because someone has given us maybe feedback, maybe criticism, and we just spin our wheels on it and we obsess on it. But if we take a good hard look at who shared that information with me, a lot of times the people that hurt us the worst are people that we have no respect for. They don't have anything that we want. We don't look at them and say, I want to be like that person. They have this thing like that I want to have too. And it's not someone we trust. It's not someone that's for us. Not everybody is for us in life. There are some people that just aren't. They simply tell us things to hurt us. And their goal is not to lift us up, to make us better. It's just to make them feel better, maybe, or that they are just trying to make themselves look a certain kind of way. So if the feedback's not coming from a reliable source or a source you respect or trust, say thank you very much and move along and let it go. Don't let it steal your joy. Don't let it rent space in your head. It's not worth it, because why do we let ourselves get twisted over people giving us information and it's not someone that we value? They don't have what we're looking for. So if it is someone that we trust and we respect, then maybe we want to consider it. And so what I like to tell the guys, and it's funny because they're guys, so maybe they don't relate as much to this, but they seem to be like, yeah. I say it's like when you go shopping and you get some new clothes and you go home and you're like, I think I might like this. I'm not sure. You try it on. And you look at it and you say, does this fit? Does this look great? Does this make me feel better about myself? And if it does, then you keep it. And it becomes a part of you. It becomes a part of your wardrobe, a part of like your routine. And if not, you go, well, that was a thing I tried, and you take it back. And that's how I feel about feedback. If it's from someone I trust and I respect, I want to take it home and I want to try it on. And I want to say, does this fit? Does this feel good? Do I feel like this is an improvement? And if so, then I'm going to keep it and it's going to be a part of me and I'm going to wear it and it's going to be cool. And if not, if I try it on and I go, oh, it's just not quite right. It just doesn't feel like it's for me. Then guess what? I tried. I respected the feedback. I tried it on, but that doesn't mean I have to wear it. It doesn't have to become a part of my wardrobe. I don't have to keep it. I can say, thank you so much. I took a look at that and I decided to put it back. And I think we can give ourselves a lot of freedom if we start doing that. Just accepting feedback, trying it on, but knowing it doesn't have to be for me. And even from a trusted, respected source, it doesn't have to be for me because we're all different. And so I don't know, like that's how I like to think about it. It's a little different. It's a twist, but I feel like it helps. So I guess what are y'all's thoughts on feedback and who to take it from, how to accept it, what to do with it?
I like that you called it constructive feedback because my thought on criticism is I criticize myself enough. I don't know that anybody enjoys being critiqued and criticized, but I feel like I do it enough to myself that I do not take it well. But I like that twist in thinking about it as feedback, things that can help me. And I love about the trusted person, someone that you respect. I think that is just a really big key. Because, we generally, people care what other people think, but you also have to do what is best for you, what is best for your family, and everyone is going to have an opinion on something that you do. And I don't know. I was like, oh yeah, I really like that. Because you've got to really think about who in your life is going to give you that feedback, and their goal is to help you, not hurt you.
Exactly. Because we can get really gutted by people giving us that information, and typically it is someone who is criticizing us and is not there for us. Like if I feel like I've been filleted by information that someone gives me, it's probably not someone that cares for me and wants to see me do better and be better and reach my full potential. And so I want to give people permission to let that go. Don't let that steal space in your heart, in your mind, in your soul. Let it be. Say thanks and walk away. And you don't even have to take that one home and try it on. So I think those are all really solid ways that we can learn more about ourselves, thinking about our moods, thinking about our thinking and paying attention to what we're thinking about our coping skills and how they're helping us in the short term and long term, and then feedback, getting it from people we know, we trust, we know are for us, and then we try it on and we see if it fits. And if it does, cool. And if it doesn't, that's okay too. But we're not going to let it steal from us anymore. So the next step in this is making small changes over time. And I think this is really a key in anything we want to do, any type, our mental health, our physical health, our spiritual health, all the things. I think when we try to do too much too fast, we overwhelm ourselves and then we shut down. We just stop. We're just like, I can't do it, so I'm not going to do any of it. So I'm going to read the little blurb they have here and then we can discuss for a second. So it says, as you learn more about yourself, which hopefully we will, using all those things we just discussed, you'll probably notice some thoughts, beliefs, and behaviors that you'd like to change. And I think we all do. Pick one or two to work on at a time and start with the really easy ones. Start little. Start with the stuff that's not huge and scary and overwhelming. And then once you've made progress on those, you'll start to feel more confident. And then eventually you'll be able to tackle the bigger ones. And then if you try to make too many changes at once, we know we'll get overwhelmed. So I think this is a really good point. If I do all of those 4 points we just talked about in the Learn All You Can About Yourself section, I'm going to see things I want to work on. I think we all will. Anyone who wants to be better and do better and grow is going to see the things and be like, yeah, probably could do better there. What should I do? But I can't do it all. And if I try to do it all, it's going to fall apart. it's just like when I went on the diet and couldn't eat any of the things, and then I ate a whole pizza because I was like, forget it, I'm starving. We can't do it all at once. We absolutely have to do it in small pieces. And I love that they point out, like, start with the easy stuff. Don't be like, I'm going to go big or go home, and I'm going to do this really tough task that's been a struggle for me for forever. And then, yeah, I set myself up to be really sad because that's a lot. Start with the easy stuff. Start with 1 or 2 easy things. Work on it for a while. See how it changes, how it helps, how you feel, and then go from there. Because you will absolutely build your confidence. Just like it says, it'll be confidence boosting, and then you'll have the skills to move forward and dig deeper and go for some of the bigger ones.
Well, and I think a key to the larger ones too, and we've talked about it in, I think, time management kind of stuff and stuff at work, is like identify the large one and break that further into smaller things and you can hit those small steps to build up to that big goal too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like that whole, like, eating a frog. You know, like, you got to just take it step by step. Like, do things step by step.
Make a list.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
Make a list like Ashley
Have a
of
list.
how you can do it.
Have a list. But definitely start small and start piece by piece. Don't overwhelm yourself, because then we all quit. And then we've done no good. So start small. And then the last one from this is keep an open mind. Okay. And so this one is really important for a lot of us. And it says, as you're deciding what kinds of things to try, keep an open mind about what might work, because sometimes the things you're most resistant to are the things that you could really benefit from. And it even has a caveat here. And yes, sometimes that includes things like therapy and medication. So those might be the things we need to try too that we've been hesitant to do. But sometimes the thing that we're just like, no, that's not going to work, I'm not interested in that, it can be the thing that is the answer for us, that is the key to it for us. And so we have to really be open-minded. Like, try all the things, see how it fits. Everything won't work. And the same thing that works for your best friend won't necessarily work for you, because we're also very, very different. Even if we're like, oh, but I have such a strong connection with that person and it worked fabulous for them, it should work. You're still different humans, okay? And probably the reason you get along is because you're not identical. Try different things. For me, like, I immediately went to this thought in my mind, and this has nothing to do with mental health or knowing yourself, but I can remember when I went to pick out a wedding dress, I had in my mind exactly what I thought I wanted and exactly what I was like, nope, not going to do that, don't even want it. And the exact style of dress that I thought was no way I wanted, I tried it on and it was immediately like, oh, that's the one. So just like my stubbornness could have kept me from getting the right dress because I didn't think that it was the right one for me, we have to be open-minded in the way that we try things to help improve our mental health, because the things that we think might sound silly or feel uncomfortable or we just don't think are for us may be the very thing that's 100% for us, and we won't know it if we don't try it. But also know that if you try something and it doesn't work, you didn't lose anything, because now you have that information. You know, okay, this didn't work for me. Let me try this. And maybe part of it works, but not the whole thing. So you can take pieces of different ideas and solutions and put it together and try and see what works best for you to address your mental health and make you feel better and less stressed and less anxious and more positive. And again, it will look different for absolutely everyone. But we do have to be open-minded. And I'm preaching to myself here, because I will be the first to be like stubborn and like, that's not for me. That sounds silly. Maybe the silliest thing on earth is the most helpful thing when you get down to it and try it.
I feel like you're talking to me there, because I can tend to get tunnel vision and be like, well, this is the way that it's supposed to be. This is what I'm supposed to do, and not always be open to all of the other options.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're good at like shoulda, coulda, woulding ourselves and putting ourselves in a box and thinking this is where we're supposed to fit. But like, there's so many options, and we can try all the options, and we don't have to, it doesn't have to be like, this is what I should do. This is what I can do. This is what I could do. This is an option. And I like having lots of options. Now, I will say, because I am so passionate about this topic, I am running out of time, and I have so much more things that I would like to discuss, but I'm not going to keep you forever because it's a podcast, and you want to be able to like drive somewhere and listen to me and then get out and be done with it. So I am going to tell you, like, there are some other resources I would have loved to have gone over with today. So go to mentalhealthamerica.org. Check out the Mental Health Awareness Month Toolkit. Some things I would have discussed today if we had more time. There is a PDF on nurturing your spirit. And I think that's another way that we can really DIY our mental health, is nurturing our spirit. And I will say, like, spirituality is not just religion. It's not just meditation. It can be a lot of things for a lot of people. And the 5 things they kind of discuss are religious practices, mindfulness and meditation, connection to nature, creative expression, and awe and wonder. And so there's a lot of tips here. Go look at it, dig in, because I do think nurturing our spirit is a really great way for us to DIY our mental health, to something we can really do on our own and figure out. And then there is finding your community, and that's part of that in there too. So it's not completely solo. You want other people with you, but that's something I encourage you to look at. And then there is a worksheet that I think is really good, and it is planning your routine, because routine really does affect our mental health and our mood and our stress levels. And so there's some really solid questions on here and a template for like planning out your routine. So take a look at that as well. I'll just give you, like, as a spoiler, some of the questions they'll ask you. What are some of the things that you want to be part of your routine? And so those are the things that we all talk about and we want, but we're not sure how to fit it in there, like the exercise, the reading, the quality time with our friends and family. Then what gets in the way of you accomplishing your goals or tasks above? And so those are our things like being too tired, working overtime, all of those things that come up, those other commitments. Then what are things you can do to address those barriers that you just wrote in the box before? And so they give you some examples there too. And then at the end, one of my favorite things that, again, I think we forget a lot is, how can you reward yourself for successfully making new things part of your routine? And I love rewards. I love prizes. I love celebrations. So don't forget to enjoy your wins. When we have wins, like, acknowledge them, celebrate them, because kids aren't the only ones that want to celebrate fun, exciting things and meeting milestones and doing something awesome. Like, we're adults, but we need to celebrate and acknowledge those things as well. So I'm not going to keep you any longer, but check these things out because they're super cool. And the ladies are laughing at me because they know I get kind of some kind of weird excitement over this, but it's good stuff. And there's so many resources, and there's so many things I didn't even mention that are resources for this DIY section. I think there's like some videos, there's lots of stuff. So check it out. There's tons there, but join us for the rest of the month because we're still talking all things mental health as we make our way through the month of May. So thank you for joining us. This is Life Simplified.
Thanks for listening to Life Simplified. We are family and consumer sciences agents with the University of Kentucky Cooperative Extension Service. Contact us at lifesimplifiedpodcast@gmail.com.